Those are stunning statistics, and behind all of that are families. So let's bring in Kellyanne Conway, former Trump senior advisor, Mark Penn, former Clinton pollster and advisor. I was just looking at those numbers, and Mark, I wonder, as people go to the polls today in 7 states, especially California, in your experience, do voters who are experiencing this crime, especially the concerns about homelessness, do they connect that with a certain party or just a general frustration with leadership, whoever is in power?
Generally, they're going to connect it with who's in power. I think who's in power is responsible in general for dealing with whether it's gasoline prices or immigration or in local areas crime and taxes. And so I think they're going to hold responsible those officials that they believe in. When I ask about crime now and what is responsible for the rise in crime, people say first, DAs that are not doing their job. Second, mental illness that's not treated properly and people are left on the streets. And third, they say enforcing gun laws. That's the 1, 2, 3 of what people think about crime, and we'll see what they do at the polls today.
Kellyanne, it's interesting to me that Mark says that. So like the number one issue that voters respond to him is to say that the prosecutors aren't doing their job. And I think that's a pretty interesting connection for people to be able to see. So it's not just there are criminals, or not just that they're maybe they have different feelings about police, but now voters are actually saying, oh, the prosecutors that are in place in these big cities, and we put them up on the board here, the crime is up in all the big cities, Los Angeles, New York City, Chicago, Philadelphia, San Francisco, but connecting it to the DAs, is that different? And what will that mean for the next few months?
It's slightly different, Dana, and Mark is absolutely correct. What's more, these DAs are household names now. They are well known by the folks as the people who are standing between them and public safety. I'm really struck by the UC Berkeley LA Times poll that came out recently that asked people what are the top issues in Los Angeles as you head to the mayor's race. And the top were 49% homelessness, 40% crime and public safety. Those are seen as benefiting the people who want to be tough on crime, like a new DA candidate or the new mayoral candidate, frankly, Rick Caruso in LA. Lower down the list was climate change, abortion, and coronavirus, the issues that many of the Democrats are running on. I think in 2022, if you're a Democrat, reality bites, because politics is often a game of perception, but in this case, people see 41,000 unhoused people in Los Angeles. They see a rise in crime and drugs. What Bill said at the big board is so important. In San Francisco, under this DA, Boudin, he did not prosecute one fentanyl crime last year. 640 overdose deaths, most of them created by fentanyl, caused by fentanyl. More people died of overdose deaths than COVID last year in his city, and he didn't prosecute anything. He had 3 drug prosecutions, none for fentanyl, and it's because it's a sanctuary city. He fears deportation for people who are involved. So people are knitting all this together. They know what they see, not what politicians say. And what they see are people going into stores in their neighborhoods and stuffing bags. I mean, one guy was on the camera, he looked like he was shopping, was looking for the color of the bag and shoes he preferred, not just, grabbing and going. So people know what they see. Last thing, in 1994, crime and economy were the 2 most important issues going into the big Republican sweep that year in the contract with America with Newt Gingrich. We're seeing that again now. The crime is creeping up there in these big cities. 17 of our 20 cities are led by Democrat mayors, and I think that they've got a lot to account for at the polls.
Quickly, Mark, do you think that Biden will then be connected to all of that if you're looking at who's in power and it's Democrats in these cities?
Oh, I think Biden is going to be connected to that. The question is he going to exert leadership? What does he have the Justice Department doing? Are they really out there rounding up gang members and bringing in handguns and young kids who are doing thousands of murders in the cities? Or is the Justice Department off doing, basically, political work and
right.
Rather than work that people really care about, with criminals on the streets? I think Biden could make a huge difference if he directed the policy machine towards these problems directly in these cities.
We'll see if he does that. So far, not so much. All right, Kellyanne and Mark, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
We'll see tonight, tomorrow, maybe, right? California, tomorrow.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.